Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So the Suzuki Escudo has finally returned with update 1.31. The glitch of its rotation is finally fixed. So now I feel it's the right time to start releasing the updated 1.31 builds. Obviously with the last update we've got a massive overhaul to the performance points rating system, as well as kind of just the builds overall, with some changing and some not changing so much. Now the 600 pp build for Tokyo has massively changed, however I feel overall it is a much better drive. So if you want to pick this car up for yourself, it will cost you 1.7 million from the legendary car dealer. It comes in at 792 performance points. It will put out 981 brake horsepower from standard. It weighs 800 kilograms and it is turbocharged. The only downside being that the turbocharger on this car is rather quite laggy. You will have to basically keep the revs up if you want to counter that. Even when you put the other turbochargers on it, it still suffers from the same thing, so just ensure that you keep the revs up. Now the first thing you want to do is basically put any tyres you want on, but make sure that they're going to be an inch above the standard size at least, and then put the rim width to wide and the offset to wide. In terms of the tuning sheet, we're going to be running sports hards on this one instead of the comforts from before. The body height is going to be 80 at the front and 110 at the rear, with the anti-roll bar being 3 for both. Compression is going to be 30 for both and expansion is going to be 40 for both. Natural frequency is going to be 3.50 for both, as well as a negative camber angle being 0.5 for both. Onto the toe angle, at the front you want it as 0.15 outwards and at the rear as 0.05 inwards. Then on the differential, we've got the initial torque set to 7 at the front and 10 at the rear. Acceleration sensitivity again 7 at the front and 10 at the rear, with braking sensitivity going to 10 at the front and 15 at the rear, with the front rear torque distribution being 45 to 55. We've got a fully customizable manual transmission set to this. We've got it at 280 and then we've got the ballast at 99. The ballast positioning now goes to -45 and the power restrictor is much slower this time around at 75, same on the ECU. In terms of the aero, we've got the downforce at the front being 200 and at the rear being 700. We've then got the high RPM turbocharger, and that is literally all you need to get it to under 600. Big thank you to Alert Jester who sent me this on day one of the update. In terms of the event you want to use, you want to go over into Asia and Oceania. This is going to then take you over to Tokyo Expressway in Japan and then to the World Touring Car 600 event at Tokyo. So let's talk about this build overall and really how it's set up. So overall it is a much better drive than the previous build from 1.30. That ran on comfort tyres and it was a lot more weighty overall. The only real downside to this build is that we are running a lot less power on the output of this car. However, it's only a difference of around about 20 miles an hour on the straights. You're realistically going to find that when you're driving this through the more twisty sections and such, you're going to be going a lot smoother and a lot faster, the fact that this car can actually handle now. The 1.30 build was honestly a bit of a brick, and those comfort hard tyres that it ran on were just absolutely terrible in terms of actually getting yourself through the corners, and it just wasn't a real fun drive overall. This is definitely much more suited to being able to drive it normally or wall ride. It is completely up to you how you want to run it. You can drive it legitimately, or you can just essentially run it off the walls, which is the way I'd actually recommend doing it, just because overall it is faster and you will still get the clean race bonus every time. So this is a strategy I used. You basically want to keep it at fuel mix 1 for the entire time. You won't be messing around with any of the fuel mixers. As soon as you get going, you want to start running in the slipstreams. Obviously we are using less power, so we are not as kind of potent in a straight line. You want to try and overtake as many of the AI as you can on the run up to turn 1. Realistically, you should be able to overtake a good chunk of them before you even reach the first corner. At that point, you're basically going to slide yourself onto the wall and around the majority of the AI. It only left me realistically with the Honda to overtake. So as you can see here, we're going to go over to the left and just run the wall. As long as you don't hit the AI, you'll still get your clean race bonus, so just try and avoid them even when you are lapping them, or if they're kind of behind you when you've lapped them. And as you can see, we're just going to do it again on the second wall and essentially overtake the Honda. At this point, we're in the lead of the race. In terms of overall difficulty, it's up to you what you want to run on. I personally recommend running it on hard. This is just due to the fact that you will spend less time lapping the opponents. This is set to normal, and in all honesty I just overlapped them a bit too much, to the point where there was actually affecting my lap times later on in the run. And although it might not seem much, when you're spending time lapping the AI, in all honesty, it does add up over the entirety of a run. Now, in terms of actually running this car, like I said, you can drive it legitimately if you want. You will find that overall this is a much grippier build than previously. Obviously, these sports tyres are much better than the comfort tyres we were running. They were just absolutely terrible. And overall, we are running a lot less weight. The fact that before we was running about 170 ballast, we're running around about 70 to 80 ballast less with this current build, and on better tyres means that overall it is a much better build just to drive in general. Now, in terms of your opening lap, you may not actually feel like the performance is really that bad. You really can't tell that you're running in damp conditions, and that's a kind of testament to this car. I found that no matter what weather it was in, whether it was kind of lap 1 to 4, where it's usually in intermediate conditions, or kind of 4 onwards, it really felt decent to drive in all conditions, and there wasn't really any downside to this. The only realistic downside would be the overall top speed, which is reduced by around about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So with lap 1 done and out the way, I'll move you on to the next lap that you really need to kind of keep an eye on, which is lap 4. At this point, the track will turn from intermediate conditions to dry conditions. Your lap times realistically should start going down at this point. The sports hards are good enough for the entire race. Now, this is what I mean in terms of the AI. They really can slow you down, and you don't want to hit them. If you do hit them, you'll lose the clean race bonus, so just take your time, and this is why I'd recommend running a higher difficulty. Lap 7 is the only time you want to take a pit stop, so just dive in. You won't need to put any new tyres on. You can if you want to, but the sports hards will last the entirety of this event, no problem. The performance will just start dropping off around about the halfway point when you pit, so your lap times may not be as quick. You want to take a bit of fuel. Now, you can fill up to the diamond, but in all honesty, I'd recommend just putting a bit more in just to cover yourself. Usually the little notch on the fuel bar does kind of lie to you, so I'll put quite a bit extra in just to ensure that we get to the end of the event. Last thing you want to do is just run out of fuel mid-event and kind of have to crawl around. So we finished the race on lap 12. First place, nice and easy, and like I said, as long as you don't hit the AI or run the edge of the last hairpin, you should be absolutely fine with your clean race bonus. So we did this in 24 minutes 52.415. We did have a couple of occasions where we were caught up on the AI, and in all honesty, it probably cost me overall about 15 to 20 seconds on this run. Our fastest lap was a 1 minute 59.659 on lap 12, which was the final lap. And overall, I feel like this is a much improved build just for overall drivability. Whilst it's not as quick as before, it's certainly a more drivable and less sketchy car than the 1.30 build. Now, that is going to be it. So in terms of your payout, it's 825,000 credits in around about 24 to 25 minutes. Nice and easy, and you do get a lot of use out of the Suzuki Escudo. So that's going to be it for this build. It's a non-glitch build, which is always, in my opinion, much easier to get around than having to kind of bug out the whole PP system. Big thank you again goes to Alert Jester, who sent me this day 1 of update 1.31. I will be covering a 700 build and an 800 build for this car soon. So there we have it. That is the first build of update 1.31 for the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak. I fully recommend grabbing one of these while you can. The fact that it glitched before means that it could perhaps do it again. I definitely wouldn't take the risk and wait on this car, and it is definitely the most versatile car in the game as far as grinding money, making me over 50 million credits alone on just one vehicle. So that's going to be it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. I upload GT7 and motorsport content each and every day for your viewing pleasure. Big thank you to my channel members and my sponsors, the Controller People and Poggers, for their continued support. I have my Discord, my Twitter and my donation link down in the description down below, and I'll see you all later on, guys. Peace.